kindergartners, welcome. Today I'm going to teach you guys about a very special type of word. My name is Miss Burkhart and I've got lots of different fun examples and activities that we're going to do. So first I'm going to read you guys a short little poem and I want you to listen really carefully because I bet you can hear some things that are special. Here we go, ready? Listen really careful. Pam the ram likes to eat ham with Sam the ram who likes to eat jam. That's the first half. Maybe some of you guys have already noticed some things. Sam the ram gives jam to Pam, and Pam the ram gives ham to Sam. So maybe some of you guys noticed what's really similar and what's really special about the words that are in this poem. If anyone has any ideas, you can feel free to type them or say them. So what I'm going to tell you guys is that those were words that rhyme. So words that rhyme or rhyming words are words that end in the same sound. So in that poem we had a bunch of words that ended in the same sound. Does anyone remember what any of them were? Some of them were Pam. Does anyone have another one? Sam, ram, jam. Yeah, there were so many. So we're going to learn about those words and about how they go together, and maybe we can figure out some of our own, like a puzzle. So first, I'm going to give you guys a couple more examples because I've got some things with me that I think rhyme, but I want to see if you can figure them out. So our first item is a can. Can anyone think in their brains of a word that rhymes with can? It can be any word as long as it's rhyming with can. So remember what our definition of a rhyme is. Now think of a word that would rhyme with can. If you've got any ideas, you could write them down. You could just think really hard about them. So I'm going to tell you that what I came up with for a word that rhymes with can is pan. And I've got one right here. So a pan and a can rhyme. And why do they rhyme? Because the definition of a rhyme is words that end in the same sound. So these two, can and pan, end in the same sound. Well, maybe we could do some other examples. So my next example is a dog. I don't have a real dog with me. I wish I did, but I do have this picture of a dog. Can anyone think of a word that would rhyme with dog? There's lots of them. Well, I'm going to tell you that what I thought of as a word that rhymes with dog is fog. So fog is that weather when there's a lot of water in the air and you can barely see in front of you. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen it maybe in the morning. So fog and dog are rhyming words. And maybe fog isn't the example that you thought of, but that's okay. As long as it's a word that rhymes. We just have to keep our words rhyming, ending in the same sound. So for our last example, I thought of call. So call, like you're calling someone on the phone. Hello, how are you? Can anyone think of a word that would rhyme with call? Let's hear some of you guys' examples. Okay, yeah, some of those were good. So the example that I thought of would be a ball, like a bouncy ball that you play with outside. So ball and call end in the same sound because remember, that's our definition of a rhyming word. So maybe some of you guys have your own examples and you could write some down, or maybe some of you guys could say them if you want to pause the video and say them. That could be a really fun activity for you guys to do. But I have another activity that I think would be really good. So I'm going to read you guys a story or part of a story, and maybe it's a story that you already know. Let me grab my book. This story that I'm going to read is called The Cat in the Hat, and it's by Dr. Seuss. And maybe some of you guys have already heard this story, or maybe you've read some of Dr. Seuss's other stories, but maybe you can already notice that there's already rhyming words in this story. So Dr. Seuss wrote a lot of books that have rhyming words. But what we're going to do with this story is when you hear a set of rhyming words, I want you to clap. And your microphones are going to be off, So I'm not going to be able to hear you clap, but we can watch for the clapping. So whenever you hear a rhyming word, clap your hands, okay? So I'm just going to read the first few pages, and maybe we'll stop a little bit and see if we're catching on, see if we're figuring out the rhymes. Ready? Here we go. The sun did not shine, it was too wet to play, so we sat in the house on that cold, cold, wet day. Oh, I think I see some claps. So can anyone tell me what the claps were for? Yeah, they were for play and day. Those are two rhyming words. Let's go to the next page. I sat there with Sally, we sat there, we two, and I said how I wish we had something to do. Oh. Too wet to go out, too cold to play ball, so we sat in the house, we did nothing at all. That sounds like a rhyme that we talked about earlier. We talked about call and ball, and here's another word, all. All of those rhyme. So next, let's go to the next page. So all we could do was to sit, 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 and we did not like it, not one little bit. That was 3 rhyming words. That's crazy. Sit, it, and bit. All 3 of those rhyme. There are so many words that rhyme. And then something went bump. How that bump made us jump. When we looked, then we saw him step out on the mat. We looked and we saw him, the cat in the hat. Cat in the hat rhymes with itself. How crazy is that? And he said to us, why do you sit there like that? I know it is wet and the sun is not sunny, but we can have lots of good fun that is funny. So that's all that we're going to read of this book right now, and I bet that if you wanted to read this book, you could find it at your library, or maybe your school has it. But I think that you guys were starting to catch on. So on that last page, let's see how many rhymes we had. Let's take a look. Ready? So mat rhymes with cat and hat. And that's 4 in a row. And then we also had over here sunny and funny. And those 2 rhyme also because they end in the same sound. So there are lots of words that rhyme, even in those few pages that I read. And I bet that if you read more of this book, you would find more. And I bet that there are lots of children's books that you could find rhymes in. So I want to see if you guys really understand rhyming, because I think that you guys are catching on, but I just want to make sure. So I have this sheet for you guys that has lots of different pictures on it, and hopefully you guys can get access to this from your computer, or you can get a paper copy. But this is called My Rhymes. And in each row, it starts with a word and a picture. So this first one is fox. And then you're going to look for the word that rhymes. So, for example, let's do this first row together, and then you guys can do the rest of them. Fox, and the 3 that they're asking about are skunk, box, and clocks. So, let's see. Skunk, box, and clocks. What rhymes with fox? Well, fox and skunk, those don't sound the same to me. But let's see. Fox and box? I think those 2 sound the same. And fox and clocks. Those 2 also sound the same. So make sure that you circle when you do your sheet. Box and clocks. All right, so once you're done with this sheet, see if you can try to think of another word, because we know we can have lots and lots of different words that rhymes, and you can write it on the side here. All right, so I want you guys to get to work on this worksheet, see what you can do. Thanks for listening today, and I hope that you guys all understand rhymes and that you can pick them out and hear them. Good job.